You're watching Cartel TV and I'm Amelia. Jaguar and Land Rover appear to be in a bit of a financial pickle at the moment, but that doesn't stop them from still being one of the most luxurious vehicles on the market and therefore carrying that luxury price tag. Now I know I usually mention the price at the end, but I'm just going to say right here and now that this little Jag that I've got behind me starts at $65,000 and that's without all the goodies attached. So let's factor in the one I have here for review, the Jaguar E-Pace R-Dynamic SE. Now this is the second highest trim level available in Australia, so the $65,000 version is actually pretty good. How good? Well, the E-Pace, being at the bottom of Jag's luxury list, has copped its fair share of hate. People driving Jags are used to something pretty plush and really awesome to drive, and the lowest spec E-Pace from last year hasn't really met those expectations. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really all that good either. And people have noticed. Apparently, this one is a lot better, and for $65,000, it better be. It is one of the best looking cars in its class, period. The overall shape is just lovely, with a perfect blend of sharp lines and elegant solutions, which give the look that combines sportiness and elegance in a way that isn't over the top. The grille is gloss black and its surround is satin chrome. This seems like a bit of a theme with this model because the satin black is also found on side window surrounds and the satin chrome is found on side vents. The wheels on this one are 20-inch and they look awesome, although they do diminish the ride quality a bit. Roofline is beautiful and it ends with this roof spoiler that leads the eyes over the angled rear window and towards the upright rear section, which looks better than most of its competitors. Apparently, most designers think that the rear is just something you need to stick on the back of the car so that things don't fall out of the boot. Now that is definitely not the case here. I could stare at that rear all day long. Expectedly, the front has Jaguar's recognisable solutions in the form of the large grille, pronounced air intakes and elegant lights, finished off by a stylish sweeping bonnet. So beautiful. The engine in this car is a D180, which means it is a 2-litre diesel with 132 kilowatts of power and a healthy 430 newton metres of torque. It's paired with a ZF 9HP 9-speed gearbox. I know the numbers are confusing. I'm sure somebody is sitting at home thinking,
why is it called the D180 when it has 132 kilowatts?
And that's because the 180 is supposed to stand for horsepower rather than kilowatts. I know that more gears is usually seen as better, but honestly, until they have something that is as efficient and as reliable and as just awesome as the 8HP, I'd stay with that one. Now, our love for the 8HP aside, the 9HP is smooth and fast, and it helps this engine use just 6 litres per 100 kilometres officially. There are other engine options for the E-Pace, which include an entry-level D150 with 110 kilowatts and a D240 with 177 kilowatts. That's for diesels. And for the petrol options, there's P200 with 147 kilowatts, P250 with 183 kilowatts, and P300 with 221 kilowatts of power. If you're wondering why I'm not mentioning displacements or cylinder options, it's because they're all the same. No matter which power rating you opt for, your E-Pace's all 4 wheels will all be pushing the same 2-litre 4 inline engine. Now let's see how the pushing goes. Okay, now as I've said, there are more powerful options for this vehicle, but the D180 is good enough for most drivers who need a small SUV. The gearbox keeps the engine in comfortable revs at all times, and the torque is pretty good. It comes in very low. I mean, the P300 will be more fun, but this is still pretty good. Steering is a bit on the heavy side, but I actually love that. This is a Jaguar and it is supposed to give a bit more driving feel. I actually think it's perfectly measured. I mean, the heaviness gives more confidence and involvement, but it's still light enough to make parking easier. Now, speaking of the sporty steering, I will mention that there are actually sportier options available on the market. For example, the Porsche Macan. One of the reasons for this is the weight of the E-Pace, which is 1,843 kilograms, and that is a lot for a subcompact vehicle. And just to put it into perspective, the Jaguar F-Pace, the sibling to the E-Pace with all that same luxury and maybe even a bit more, weighs from only 1,775 kilograms. So yes, the weight is definitely noticeable. I mean, it makes the E-Pace feel more planted, which I think is a really nice thing, but if you're wanting to get that sporty feel, then it is definitely too much. It's like you're throwing around a big elephant. On the other hand, I can't imagine most people will be buying this gorgeous little SUV to thrash through the hills. So I'm sure it's a downside that most buyers can live with, and if anything, they'd probably welcome the planted feel instead. The suspension is tuned somewhere between control and comfort. So, sporty complaints aside, this is actually a great thing. It makes the car nicer to drive than what you would expect from something of this size on our roads. The interior is where you really notice the trim difference. The overall design is similar in all trims, but the feel? Oh, now that's a lot different. Being the R-Dynamic SE, I get heaps of awesome materials and none of those plasticky bits and bobs that made people hate the E-Pace. The look is very similar to the 2018 model and obviously based on the sporty F-Type's interior. The passenger side centre console handle is covered in nice leather and very reminiscent of the F-Type. And I love these smart dials that serve to set the temperature, and now that massive infotainment screen now also comes with Apple CarPlay. Rear legroom isn't great. I mean, it would be fine for kids, but like most of the subcompacts that we reviewed, it's just hard to get more legroom in a vehicle of this size. Now, the only exception to that rule that we've reviewed is the Volvo XC40. And having said that, I mean, it's not that bad. But the boot is awesome. The E-Pace has 577 litres of space, which is more than in the BMW X1 and much more than the Audi Q3. And that one is actually a full class bigger. Maybe this is a perfect place to show you how the boot and the second row space is compared with some of the competitors. Let's have a look at some numbers. The E-Pace has 577 litres of boot space, the X1 507 litres, and the Q3 just 427 litres. So the E-Pace has noticeably more boot space than the Q3. Fold the seats down and the E-Pace has 1,234 litres. Okay, not bad. However, the smaller boots of the Q3 and X1 with the seats up easily surpass the E-Pace when they are folded, with 1,325 litres in the Q3 and a massive 1,550 litres in the X1. And remember, the added space after folding the seats down is actually what you get in the second row. The front passengers have loads of space. There are also two differently sized cup holders, large glove box, large central console bin, and pretty good door pockets which can hold bottles. The interior of this E-Pace is very nice. There's soft materials, good space, it's practical, and there's this awesome panoramic roof. The E-Pace was tested by ANCAP in 2017 and it got 5 stars. Not much has changed since, so this is a pretty safe car. Just some of the things that I have here are configurable auto lock, adaptive cruise control with speed limiter, queue assist, blind spot assist, lane keep assist, intelligent emergency braking, keyless entry, and much more. So what's it like? Well, it's fantastic. But you really need to like it to actually buy it. Now, being a small SUV, most people are not going to buy it for practicality purposes, and with a starting price of just over $65,000, it ain't cheap. On the other hand, it's pretty luxurious, especially in higher trim levels. It offers good interior practicality and lush materials, and there is a healthy choice of engines on offer, ranging from good enough to pretty awesome, albeit all of the same size. Now, if these features are enough to convince you that it's worth $65,000 of your hard-earned money, let me tell you another thing. You see, as it is a customary with Jaguar, the perks cost extra. For example, this truly awesome panoramic roof is an extra $2,160. The cool 20-inch alloy wheels are $1,370, and the Santorini black paint we've been feasting our eyes on is also an extra $1,370. Okay, but it is safe, right? Well, it is, and that's even without the additions. But the adaptive cruise control, queue assist, blind spot assist, and intelligent emergency braking all come with a Drive Pro pack, which costs an extra $1,020. And the list goes on. Now, the actual car I have here does start at $65,000, but with all of the goodies added on, it rises to $75,000. Cha-ching! Of course, loads of customization also allows you to choose exactly what you spend your money on, which is not always the case with optional packs. So, the Jag E-Pace. Yes, it's a luxury car, and yes, there are plenty of other luxury cars in the subcompact SUV market. And to be honest, some of them are probably a little bit better. But this Jag is different, and it's something you can't quite put your finger on. It can't be summed up with some fancy stat or car speak mumbo jumbo. It's just cooler. It's the bad boy. And it might not be perfect, but perfect is kind of boring. Thanks for watching Cartel TV. You know the drill. Like, follow, subscribe, but we're curious to know, what would be your pick in the luxury subcompact SUV segment? Let us know in the comments below. See you next time.